Welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, I have the wonderful, the talkative, the elaborative Matt the Pickled Dragon.
The overly wordy.
Your words.
Mm.
Your words. And I'm Dracoya. Today, we want to talk to you about. Oh, wait, I need to ask you what you're drinking.
I'm drinking, still working on the Alexander Murray and Co. Quintessentially Scottish. It's not the quite the Glenmorangie level of drink, but it is more on the tasty but affordable side.
You know what? I actually have had that, and it's quite good. I mean, personally, I'd like to mix it with some soda, but hey, it's still very quite good. There is nothing wrong with that whiskey. I
Yeah.
am just drinking a really nice white wine from Portugal. It has like notes of Granny Smith apple and vanilla. I almost want to say there's like a little bit of oakiness to it, which I really like, but it's not too sweet and it's the right amount of citrus for me. Eventually, I will unpack my wine glasses, or we can go to our store and maybe we will put some up.
Ye-
So, today we want to talk to you guys about railroading in D&D. Because there's like this culture right now where everything is very player focused, right, Matt?
Yeah, and like the whole idea of uh player agency. The DM is never supposed to take away the player agency. Players should direct everything. It should be all about the player, what the player wants, how the player wants to develop their character. um and yeah, that to me, I'm not so much in that camp. Like, I get that every player wants to do their thing, and I'm certainly not. I'm not going to be that DM that's like, yes, you do open that door, and this is what happens. That's dumb, right? That's dumb. But I'm not. I'm also not the DM that's going to be like, uh, well, we really want to go off the rails totally and totally do something completely that you haven't prepared for the fifth week in a row. You know?
Well, I mean, that's kind of why I think railroading it gets a bad rep, but the reality is that DMs have jobs, they have lives. I mean, how long does it take for you to create your game?
Um, so my current campaign last Sunday was the third anniversary of the campaign, 3 years. Every
Wow.
Sunday. We missed very, very few games. So, that's basically 150 say sessions, 5 hours a session.
Wow. Can you guys beat that?
That's
Like
not even
that?
my longest campaign. This one is like my average length of camp. My longest campaign was about 6 years.
Wow.
But the point is like I spend maybe now, let me qualify this because every DM is different. Back in the old days, when I was first learning how to DM in the 80s, I probably spent 8 hours a week preparing because I would over prepare. I didn't know any better. Um, these days, I I prepare as much as I'm inspired to prepare. And well, what does that mean? Like, I know I have everything ready. It takes me a couple hours, maybe a week, to have everything ready for what they need to do that Sunday. But
A
I,
couple hours per week. That's not including all the time and effort that you're putting into building the world, the maps, the NPC,
right,
the layout of the towns, right? So
right.
it's
So what I'm inspired to do, that's where that what you're inspired to do, and hopefully what every DM out there is inspired to create a world, right? I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours writing and developing and quite often, like, I'll be inspired to write a little side adventure that I may never even use, but I have it, like if the party goes off the rails, oh, I got this thing, I can pull out of my hat.
But that's
um
because you spent hours and hours creating like all these little side adventures. Like even if you were a DM who was going to do a module, because I've done it, I've tried to do a couple of modules, but the modules take freaking forever just to like really go through. I mean, I remember going to a bar when I was like a couple of years ago. I remember going to a bar and I brought in these module books and everyone at the bar thought I was studying for like some really intense exam and I was like, "No, it's for D&D." And they're like, "Why would you play a game you have to study for?" But
because it's
you
fun.
it
We
is
torture
fun.
ourselves because it's fun.
Some people are masochists. That's why you call them a DM.
Yeah, I I don't know when this whole idea, like, I've never even, it's never even crossed my mind to like force players to make a decision. I have certainly put players in a position where no matter what decision they make, it's going to be bad for them. They just have to pick their devil and live with it.
Okay.
Um, but in a lot of cases, well, in every case, actually, um, those situations arise where they have to pick their poison because of multiple decisions they made along the way. It's not just like out of the blue, I decided to screw that player. No, no, like there are decisions made, but I certainly don't know in this whole, we've seen some crazy arguments out there, like on the Twitter X, the Twix, like where
Mm.
people are like, you can't kill my player. I haven't given you permission. That's robbing me of agency, or, you know, uh, crazy stuff like that, where player agency has gone off the rails, like completely off the rails. And I think that's part of what's going on with the culture of the game now, where WotC is turning everything into Marvel superheroes. Like, there's virtually no way to kill a player character because there's, every player character can heal themselves. Every player character can do, so many things in.
Into one, there's no, like, we've gone into this in a few of our videos. There's like, it's all ambiguous as to what the classes are and what the characters are. There's no more relying on your healer because everyone can heal. So it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But so, Matt, you had mentioned to me that you had this really interesting conversation with Joe, right?
Yeah, Joe Manganiello, we were talking about how he was saying that, when he built his campaign, he got together with his players and he's like, I really want to know what you want for your character. Like, what cool things do you want to make happen for your character? And like, what can I do? And then he'd ask himself, what can I do in the story to facilitate them being able to make the coolest character possible?
The job of the DM is to make your players' creativity come to life and help them achieve their own vision for their character. So, for me, it's like, you want to make a badass total, go do it. And so I'm always trying to find ways to help people understand that the game is a set of rules. And that's it. It's just a set of rules. Everything else is up to you. You can do anything you want, anything. And so I just, before people complain about things, it's like, just go do it. Who cares?
And I thought to myself, especially for him, he's got like 10 or 12 players at his table. Now they're not necessarily all there at once, but I can't imagine, like I've run games with 10 or 12 players, but this was like
It's terrible.
back
It's
in first
chaos.
and second edition when it wasn't as bad. But today, with like all these characters and all their options and the amount of time each player takes
Personally, if the game has more than 6 players, like I'm out. And honestly, I think 6 is too much, but 6 is my absolute max. I think 4 is perfect, 5 is good, 6 is I'll deal with 6 if I really like the group, but anything more than that, absolutely not. You guys are gonna have to tell us if you have a limit on your like groups that you allow if you're a DM or if you're a player, like when you're just like, nope, I'm done, I'm out.
Yeah, and like I think the DMG states that the game is designed for 4 to 7 players.
Yeah.
Seven's my old game that I ran, that six year game was 8 players. So that was a lot, and it's a lot of work because it breaks everything. It breaks all this. I mean, the CR system's already broken, but you really want to break it, have a bunch of players at the table all at once.
Well, so
Um,
you're very much against the railroading. So do you do more story focused stuff when you're DMing?
yeah, like I've seen plenty of arguments where they were like, a DM, if they're making an undead theme campaign, they should tell the players they can make that way the players can make a character that fits that campaign world. Like I can make the ultimate undead slaying character that way. My thing is like the way I do it is I get all the players together. I'm like, go make whatever you want. If you want to work together and like make sure there's all these classes that are filled, or not. Like my current campaign has didn't have a wizard or an arcane spellcaster for a long time, and then it was just like a dip of a few levels. So it's like, okay, no arcane. No one was even proficient in Arcana, the skill. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it made a lot of problems for them, but they adapted along the way.
I
Uh,
like that.
yeah, I like to like let them do it, and then I am 100% focused on the story. Um, so if I know that my story is going to be undead focused, they have to adapt to that. So they're not necessarily min maxing. Oh, I'm going to make the ultimate undead slayer or ultimate cleric for controlling undead. Like no, 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 no. Like I'm not about that. I'm more about letting the story unravel and letting the player characters evolve and make their decisions based on what's going on around them. So that's is that
I mean,
railroading? Like,
I no, I mean I like that too. But I think I'm not as much about that as you are. I think I'm like somewhere in between you and Joe. Joe is the type of person where he creates a world for the characters, and you create a world regardless of the characters. I kind of tend to do half and half. I tend to have like a basic storyline, a middle storyline that I'm wanting, some big bad, some goal that you've all got to work towards, something that impacts everybody's world. But then I have a couple of different characters, a couple different players, I will find a way to kind of weave that in. So if somebody wants to be a long lost prince of wherever, and he's coming back to reclaim his throne, then yeah, I mean we'll figure out a way to tie that in. Or if we can't tie it into the main storyline, I will have like a series of quests on the side that'll be interesting for everyone to follow. Now, here's the pitfall for my way of doing things is you still have a time, and time continues to move. So if player A, has this character storyline over here, and then there's your middle storyline that goes with your campaign. Both of these things continue happening. One of these quests, unlike a video game, doesn't just freeze in time until my players are ready. And so sometimes you will find things that they'll have to like put the pieces together because there's no way that they can get all the quests, if that makes any sense.
yeah, for sure. And on the subject of railroading too, like I think one of the things that we really wanted to stress is that one, it's cool that there is like players want to be the focal point of the game. Great. But my whole thing is that, and we were kind of alluding to this earlier, but my whole thing is that DMs bear the brunt of the time investment. They oftentimes bear the brunt of the financial investment because they're buying books and they're buying miniatures and terrain and everything, you know. And so, like, if I don't have a lot of time and I only have a time to prepare a certain chunk of adventure or content,
Mm-hmm.
they choose to go left instead of right. I really wanted them to go to right. I just would like adapt what I provided that was supposed to be for the right hand side, and it's going to be left now. Like, is that
That's true.
railroading? I mean, maybe that's railroading, but
Is it? I mean, that's kind of what I do too for the main quest. So, I mean, if there's a story part that I really needed them to hit on, like we'll figure it out. I would say that most of my games I outline and then I'm just like, fuck it. We'll see what they come up with and I'll make it work.
yeah, I mean, you know, I don't. I mean, when I hear the word railroading, I literally interpret that again as, you know, a player does not choose to open a door, and you really wanted them to open the door, so you force them to open the door. Yeah, you do
Right.
open the door,
Forcing
or
your players to make certain decisions or go down certain pathways that they probably would not have organically done. That is what I hear when I hear railroading.
yeah, I would love to hear what people think of the term. I mean, I also am interested to know, like, in terms of player agency, like, um, I have heard a lot of like pretty extreme arguments out there where, like I said earlier, like, you can't kill my character because I have plans for my character. And
Well,
until I've,
fabulous. We've all got plans, buddy. I got plans for the next 80 years of my life.
yeah, until I've told my story, you can't kill my character.
Until I become a multi-billionaire and people start buying our t-shirts, you can't kill my character.
She's right. Buy our t-shirts. We got a store.
They're
Woo!
really cool, man. I'm really excited to get mine in.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
gonna get more
but
t-shirts going.
but focus, 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 focus.
Yes, focused. But in any case, I'm my like fourth finger right now
And we're
of
both
scotch.
88. Anyway, we should wrap this up. Guys, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think when you hear railroading. Tell us what you think about like groups being too big and come back and have another round on us.
Yeah.